So anyway, I'm just going to do a quick little inspection. I already started to tear this apart. Some of y'all may have remembered I did the um, video on the dual carb setup, how to a little bit some tips on some tuning side of it. But this carburetor or these carburetors, this is the secondary. The secondary always has the electric choke. The primary is always a manual choke on an Edelbrock setup. That's the progressive linkage off of it. That is the fuel line. We can set those aside. Not going to really need them. I just wanted to do a quick little tear down of these, see what's. Sorry about that. See what the conditions like on the inside. I already took the top off of the primary carburetor. We'll pop the secondary off here in just a quick minute. But I'm going to rejet these. More than likely, this setup's going to go to a new home at some point in time. I don't really have any need for it, so someone will end up getting it. But yeah, it's a big block oval port. Well, hang on. I got the intake right here if you want to see that. Ooh, big old heavy dog. So yeah, that was the big block oval port intake. It's in decent shape. Needs a little bit of cleaning, that's for sure. But yeah, there is a big block going in the Chevelle, but I'm going to do a single plane or a single carburetor on it, probably a performer, maybe performer RP, well, performer RPM for that one, and then probably do some tuning videos on it. But I mean, I could put the dual quad on it at some point in time, but it's not really my speed. So anyway, one of these days that'll go to a new owner. Alrighty, get that out of the way. So anyway, I just want to hey, Turlo's Garage, another great channel. If y'all have want another one to check out, Robert's Garage for sure, and Turlo's Garage for sure is another cool one to check out. If you're looking for content to absorb while you're sitting around in the evening having a few cold ones, those are two really good channels to hit up. So go subscribe to those, and certainly watch a few of his videos. Got some good stuff going on. So cheers to both of you. Oh, it's been a hot day here in the Mid-South, and I have not had a very good one. Been kind of a crazy day, but let's just take a look at it. I already popped the top off this, and it's can't really tell, I'm sure, on the live stream, but it's pretty clean on the inside. This guy took really good care of it. Actually, it looks a lot better than I thought it was. I don't think he's cleaned it, but he was running the driven carb defender through it, so that's probably one of the reasons why it's very clean. There's a little bit of gunky stuff in there, but it's not that bad. I bet you it'd wipe right out of there, and it's in pretty good shape. So anyway, what I am going to do, though, is because I don't know where these carburetors are going, and a little tip that I know I gave it to him, but for some reason he lost it. I always write down what rods and jets and step-up springs, and if I change the squirters, I always let them know, so when they get down the road and they need to make some more tuning to it, they know what's already in it. Well, he lost it all, so and I don't have a magnifying glass out here in the garage, and the only other one I'd use is that phone that this is being shot on. So we're just going to put some new springs and new jets in, and we'll just go from there. So that way I know what's in it, and I'll identify these later on. But yeah. So anyway, it is about 100 degrees here today. I think it's actually in the low 90s, but with the humidity and the heat index, it's like 105 or something like that. So I am very, very hot, very, very sweaty. And I'm sure you didn't need to hear that, but it is absolutely blazing hot in the garage here. So I I don't know how long I'll be out here, but I will certainly answer any Edelbrock carburetor questions, or anything, I guess, while I'm on here. So I guess the main thing is I just want to take a peek inside of these and before they go to a good home. These are both 500 CFM carburetors. I've got a 500 on the truck, and these have little numbers that are stamped on them, but my eyes aren't that great anymore, and I can't see them, so I need a magnifying glass. So somewhere down the road we will identify those and put them back in the case. But let's see, where is the CNC Auto Works? What's up, buddy? Yeah, nice. Got some good folks here. You know what? I left the, unfortunately, Edelbrock in here does not have the new carburetors. This was printed. I showed you the white cover one before. It's kind of ridiculous. They took all the calibration chart stuff out of it and literally left just the basics in here, which is still good information, but the tuning chart is half the reason to hanging on to the owner's manual. So I think I remember what they are. I think it's a 1428 in the mains on these AVS2s, because this is the new series carburetor. That is the new Edelbrock AVS2. This Endurashine finish, actually they discontinued it. It's a casualty of COVID, I think. That manufacturer that was doing that for them is actually a powder coater in Southern California, if I'm correct. And unfortunately, when COVID hit and California shut down, I think it just killed his business. So I know Edelbrock is looking to kind of replace that, but yeah, it's too bad. I mean, it's a good finish, and it's certainly a very easy maintenance stuff. If you've ever played with the Endurashine or seen it up front, it's literally you just wipe it off and just, there's no polishing, there's no real maintenance on it. It's just wipe it off and maybe hit it with a little Windex or something like that, but you certainly don't have to spend days and hours and weeks and months with mother's polish like we used to back in the day. So let me scribble that down before I forget about it. Oh, yeah, I know what's in there. Now I just need a piece of paper. So yeah. Anyway, I know that finish will be back. It was very popular for them. Certainly very popular on the street rod and hot rod guys for sure will dig it. I mean, it looks good. The intake looked good. The carburetors look really good. They just, they just stay polished. It looks good. So I'm just going to put in here 1428s, and then actually, you know what? I know it's going to be off, but I'm going to probably just follow the 1426. It may be off a little bit, but that's okay. As long as I know where it's a starting point, it really doesn't matter. So we'll put in, getting a little low on some of these jets. I think I showed this to y'all before, but that's my jet kit. I've got another one I'll show you here in just a second with rods, but I also keep the squirters and some gaskets in there. Those are all the jets that are sizes that are available, and I do two things. I write the part number down because that's what pretty much everything's referenced by, but I also write the size down because I sometimes will do a little bit of my own tuning with it just to kind of play around with some stuff that's not available in the carburetor book, so to speak. So anyway, but yeah, back to the Endurashine finish. I know Edelbrock's working on getting a replacement for that because it is nice stuff, and they're still producing the black carburetors. Pretty sure of that. I don't know what that process looks like. Back in September last year, I did visit the Edelbrock carburetor manufacturing facility in Sanford, North Carolina. That was kind of cool. So 1426. I'll double check those later, but yeah, like again, it doesn't really matter at this point. As long as I know what's in there, I can turn this over to the next owner that can start tuning from there. So anyway, we'll throw some different rods on there, and guess might as well just reference it back. Up. Fuel line diameter supply versus hard line. Yeah, your boy Jag. That's a really good. That's a really good question, and it's probably a really good video. You know, certainly the fuel line size and return line size is important. 1459s. But yeah, I would definitely make that video because that's some good information for sure. Again, I don't know if I should. I think I showed this to you guys on another video, but that is my. Oh hell, what did I say? 1459 or 58? It is. It's about 100 degrees in here, so that's why I've got beer, and when I'm out of beer, I'm out of here. 1459. I think. But yes, to your question, I believe that I will do that video for sure. Huh. I think I am out of the 1459s. So, well, that sucks. Anyway, you got to see my rod and jet collection. Anyway, I will leave whatever's in there, and then I'll come back later on and probably tomorrow, next day, whatever. I think I've got some more rods and jets coming. I don't know if they'll be here this week or not, but hopefully. So, anyway, I guess that's it for that one then, because I really don't want to do anything, and quite honestly, I guess I will double check to make sure that that's the right. Got a little discoloring around here. I'm sure that's from the fuel. It doesn't look like heat. But certainly these carburetors do transfer heat very well. So, yeah. So we are going to set that bad boy aside for now, and we'll take a look at the the secondary carburetor. So, oh well. Hey, Tool Junkie, what's going on, man? Good to see you again. This heat is making me not concentrate very well. But it's, again, I think it's like 100 degrees in here. Or at least it was 100 last time I looked. Oh, well. But, yeah, where the heck was I? Well, I was talking about Sanford, wasn't I? When I went to tour the facility at Sanford, North Carolina, you know, certainly the these carburetors are all pretty much made there. I don't believe the jets are, but they do machine all their own rods, which is a really, really cool machine. Really old, too. I think it was like the early 1940, 1950, something like that. But, they bend it. They put the little groove in there for the retaining clip, and then they neck these down to fit whatever sizes they are, and then they stamp it with whatever size it is. They make them right there. So, yeah, I mean, and all the bodies are machined right there in North Carolina, which is kind of cool. And then I think the bodies are made somewhere else. It's not made in that manufacturing facility. It's I guess another one of their facilities, but it's all made in the U.S. So I can tell you that in the few conversations in my life that I had with Vic Edelbrock, he was pretty adamant about made in the U.S. So unfortunately, the way the world runs today, I don't know how much longer. Boy, this one's in there. I don't know how much longer that's going to be with everybody, but I know Edelbrock is still pretty stuck to that, even with the merger with CompCam here early last year. I don't remember when it was. Certainly all of 2020 they were stuck to the hip, but I don't remember when they announced it, to be honest with you. Sometime, but Comp's always been pretty much a made in the U.S. company too. All the cams are ground here in Memphis, actually. The cam cores all come from Michigan. They're OE suppliers up there that make cam cores. They're just I guess it's a blank canvas is what you can best call it. And then Comp will grind whatever spec they want on it. But those are all made in the U.S., so don't let anybody fool you when they start talking about cam cores and cams and lifters and all that. They just don't know where all of them are made. But knew I forgot one of them. But yeah, I'm bouncing all over the place, and I haven't finished a complete thought yet. So, awesome. Yeah, this one's a little more dirty. Not bad, but it can use a little bit of a cleaning. Looks like the fuel had sat in there maybe for a while. Can't really tell, I don't think, on the live stream, but the fuel has definitely sat in there. So, it's ethanol. It's the garbage we deal with. So, anyway, Tool Junkie, my man. I will definitely have one on you. And cheers to you, brother. I guess if you're ever in the Mid-South area, let me know, and I'll buy you one. But I appreciate that, man. I really do. It's always cool. I do appreciate it. So, let's see. There was somebody else up there that, about the fuel line size. But yeah, that would be a good video. Let's see. Tool Junkie asked for talk about O2 readings. We should have an idle and part idle. That's a really, really good question, and it's another good video. If 14.7 is the stoichiometric benchmark where the most fuel and air is burned as it leaves the engine, gets into the exhaust, that's your best mixture. You'd never want to be there. You could be there, I guess, at cruise, but boy, you got to be really careful, because the problem when you run lean is you run hot. And typically pistons and valves and everything else downstream doesn't like that a lot. So a little bit of fuel is always a good thing, and running it just a hair rich. Now, most of the time at idle, I like to be kind of 13 and a half and up. And when I say 13 and a half and up, it just really depends on the camshaft profile, what it's in, you know, how hot the engine is, I guess. Big compression, big cam means just a little bit more on the richer side, which would be the 13 and a half. But typically on that one, you know, like on the truck, for example, I haven't put the AFR gauge on it, but when that's dialed in, that'll probably be around right at 14, maybe just a touch under that at idle, and that's a bone stock 350. It's just where I like to run them at idle. You can run a little richer and be fine, but you run into some problems. Now, when you talk about part throttle, again, let's go back to my truck because I guess it's an easier example. My truck, I will probably at cruise, and by cruise I mean let's say 45 miles per hour down a one lane road where you're just maintaining that, that's probably pretty close to where I want to be, is at 13 and a half. That's enough to uh, take care of the conditions that the engine is asking for. It's enough for if we stab the throttle and go from that cruise mode to wide open throttle, it'll give us enough start to the fuel to get us down to probably, and again, wide open throttle is a little bit different too, but I will probably try to get the truck around 12 and a half, 12.9, somewhere there, wide open throttle. It really depends on, I guess, how it runs. But as far as I know, the engine is bone stock. I have no idea what the compression is on it, but on a 71, I'm going to guess it was probably close to 9. So those are pretty safe. Now, if you're trying to tune for fuel economy, I would tell you that most of the fuel economy is not made in the carburetor or the engine. And some people laugh at me when I tell them that, but it's actually very true. Um, Most of your fuel economy comes from your transmission. If you look at, all the cars out in a Walmart, well, I say Walmart parking lot, that was a horrible example. But if you are working in a nice office building somewhere and you look out into the parking lot, um, all of those cars in the parking lot, cars and trucks, don't have a 3-speed transmission in any longer. The 4 speeds have gone away for the most part. I don't know. There may be something out there, but I can't think of off the top of my head. Most newer vehicles are 6, 8, or 10-speed transmissions. Well, why did the OEs do that? It wasn't because they want to spend a lot of extra money on transmissions. It's because that when you keep the operating RPM low, you use less fuel. Use less fuel, it increases your fuel economy. You increase your fuel economy, it keeps the government off their backside. So I did a really good video on that to kind of show the differences. I think driving in my truck, because that way it's a 6-speed, but I could throw it into fourth, drive down the highway at 70. You could see the RPMs and what they were zinging at then. And then I could, pop it into 6th gear and see how they drop down and see what the RPMs are. The less RPMs, the less fuel you're going to use. So, certainly that's the best way to get fuel economy, but it's also expensive as hell to do it. So, Dual Junkie, I still can't believe you. Thanks, buddy. I do appreciate that again. Always a pleasure when you come on, and I'm overwhelmed by your generosity. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. Um, let's see. What else may I have? Man, I keep kicking the camera. That's not nice. But yeah, hopefully that answers most of your question there, Tool Junkie. It's so everything's so situational. Um, Pardon me. Everything's so situational that it's hard to nail it down. There's not one RPM range that I like to operate at, or excuse me, AFR range I like to operate at. It's really is dictated by the engine, and even a very stock application like the truck is. Well, I guess it's got headers on, and now I've got the Performer EPS intake manifold. Great intake, by the way, for a street car. But even on that application, I'm still going to keep it in that, probably just under 14 at idle. And again, cruising, 13 and a half, somewhere in there. And, even wide open throttle at 12.5, that's pretty doggone rich. I don't think that old truck's going to get to wide open throttle too many times, but I do have some plans for it down the road. We'll see if I get there with it, or if somebody offers to buy the thing from me and I end up getting rid of it. I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon, but certainly that option's always there. But yeah, so that's a really good question, and it does correspond a little bit with um, had to scroll back there, but I can't see who asked that question about fuel line size. Absolutely makes a difference. Now that factory 5/16 really tiny fuel lines, boy, I think you'd be really, really, really pushing it on a 400 horse engine. If I was going to build the truck to 400 horse, and I don't even know the size fuel lines on there now that I think it. I think it is 3/8 on that truck. I'll have to look, but I would replace it. I don't think that that's enough, and certainly the delivery side you're going to need a lot more fuel on. But that one might be a good one. That one I'll have to think about how to do that video, but certainly um, it's a really good topic of what size to run. So yeah, somewhere down the road I'll do that one. But I'm like the GMC is a good example. If I was going to put, and I'm talking converting over to AN because it's a little bit easier to run than hardline through the whole truck again. But I'd probably run -6 in the truck because it's stock. The Chevelle, which sits behind me, it's -8 on the return and the feed, and that's, well, I guess I had -10 in it before when I had the big engine, the big LS in it, but it's got -8 in it now, and I plan to be about a 700 horse big block in that thing. Not too aggressive. I don't want to destroy that Tremec that's in there, but yeah, probably somewhere right around there. So, but yeah, that's a really good topic. I'll have to think about how to put that one together, but because certainly I've, especially when I did the filter video, when I did the video on assembly lubes, I wanted to get more into not just talking about it and the theory behind it, but to show some actual use in it. That's why that fuel filter video is such an important one for me personally, because I wanted to understand where the filter is at within the fuel system and what the drop would be of the fuel going through there, what the pressure drop would be. And I learned so much from that video. It didn't really get a lot of views, but for me, it was more of a learning curve to actually know what the drop was in fuel pressure on that stuff. So very, very cool, thing for me. I hope somebody else got something out of it too, but I love doing that video. It was one of my favorite ones I think I've ever done, just because of that I learned so much, and there was such dramatic results in the different types of filters. So anyway, I'm babbling on. Let me look at the chat and see if you guys are got anything else here. Yep, I think we caught up. Oh, your boy Jag was the fuel line guy. So sorry about that if you're still watching. So anyway, I do appreciate that again, Tool Junkie. Again, you always make my day when you do that. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Guess we've been on for about 30 minutes. Anything else Edelbrock wise, fuel system wise, timing? I am still shooting the video on tuning the truck. I ran into some issues with the brakes the other night, and I don't think I quite got all the air out of the system. So I'm going to take it to a friend's shop, and we'll hook the actual reverse flow machine, whatever the heck that thing, expensive piece of equipment is on it, and make sure we got all the air out of it. I think that's what it was, but I'll get back to tuning on that thing here pretty soon, and I've got probably 2/3 of it shot. I just need to shoot the rest of it and spend the time editing it and putting it all together so it's in good, it's in good logical order anyway. And yeah, I'll show you how I go through the tuning process, and really it's not how I go through the tuning process. It's just how most folks do it that do it right, where they include the timing in with it. I get those questions a lot. Oh, a lot. That they went in, they adjusted the idle mixture screws. They always want to tell you about that first. Okay, cool, whatever. After 1,000 RPM, that system is redundant anyway. I don't really care about it as long as the thing idles, and it's not out of control, it's not erratic, and it's at the RPM you want. Who cares? Um, but then they'll, start talking about, well, I get this little bit of hesitation, when I'm cruising down the road at 40 miles per hour and I stand on it, I get a little bit of a hesitation. I've tried different step up springs, which is usually cool. That's a great thing. At least they know they've actually read the owner's manual or the instruction book on how to, do that. Maybe they bought a calibration kit, whatever. And we start talking. I go, cool. What's your all in timing? What do you mean? Okay, how much timing is in the thing at wide open throttle? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? It's a huge part of doing this process. You have to do it together. Carburation and ignition go hand in hand. It's like peanut butter and jelly, and you know Kool-Aid and sugar, ham and burger. I mean, they all. That's a that's a that's a Friday joke right there. So anyway, they go together. You can't have one without the other. So I get that question a lot, and I almost get a blank stare where sometimes they'll go, well, whatever is said at a factory, but they don't have a factory cam. They don't have, maybe the compression's a little bit hotter. They got a performer RPM intake on it. Maybe a set of aftermarket heads, and they're driving it aggressively on occasion. It's like, dude, your timing is, it's the rest of the piece of the puzzle. So I get that a lot. So anyway, appreciate that again from you, Tool Junkie. Alan McElroy. You've been on before, I'm sure, Alan. I think the last live stream I did. I recognize the name anyway. Not bad for an old guy. I like theory of points higher. What's your opinion on Pertronics? Pertronics. When Pertronics first came out years and years ago, with that, points to electronic conversion, I like the idea of it, but with anything else ignition wise, the grounds are so critical on that if you don't get that right, you will fry those in a heartbeat. And I've seen tons of people talking about that online where, Pertronics is just cheap Chinese junk. I put one in my 65 Chevelle, and it ran for like 20 minutes and then it just burned itself up. Well, it's probably the ground almost all of the time. When you burn up an MSD 6AL box or a fast E7 box or any of the aftermarket ignition stuff, when you burn those up, it's almost always a bad ground. So, do I like the Pertronic stuff? I do. I like it a lot better. Over the last probably 5 or 10 years, I think the quality has gotten much better. Pertronics also owns Aeromotive now, and if you've been on this channel for any length of time, you know that Aeromotive is my go-to for fuel system stuff. I absolutely am in love with their filters. Again, we'll go back to the video that I talked about a minute ago on the fuel filters. The Aeromotive one, that thing hands down, and it's impressive. So I'm a huge Aeromotive fan. I lived in Kansas City for quite a number of years too, and they were just on the other side of town from me in Lenexa, Kansas. So I know those guys fairly well. It's part of the reason why I got addicted to it is I used it and learned how awesome it was. And so they own that. They own Doug's headers or something else now. But yeah, so I mean they've added some quality pieces to it. But would I run the Pertronic stuff? Yeah, if I was doing a points to electronic conversion, I wanted to keep the small body distributor, and I didn't want to spend a ton of money to do it, like buying a easy run through fast or a ready to run through MSD or any of those small body electronic distributors. Sure, I would have no problem running it at all. It's I think the quality has gotten better over the last maybe 5 or 10 years. I haven't. Occasionally, I'll get something in where I work on that, but they're not overly complicated. They work fairly well, and as long as the grounds are good in it, you won't fry the little module in it out. So, Trillo's Garage. Thanks for all that. Hey, I appreciate you stopping by. I know Robert's Garage has has a live stream tonight. I don't know if he's already on that, but if he is, I will pop over to check his out too, just because he's a good guy. Great channel and good folks, and same with Turlo's Garage and CNC Auto Works, another really good channel. All stuff that y'all should be watching. That's for sure. It's good information, good content, as the YouTube creators say. So, but okay. Well, I rambled on enough about that. Tried Taylor Distributor and MSD Street Fire, and even messing around with the springs weights. I can't get 16th mechanical timing on these. That's not bad. The Taylor Distributor, I believe, is still made here in the U.S. It's been a couple years, so I'm not sure on that one. The MSD Street Fire was their entry level line, their cheap line. They've got a Street Fire ignition boxes as well, just to kind of get the price point down. It's all overseas stuff, and I'm not saying that in a bad sense that everything that comes from China is garbage. There is certainly quite a bit of it that comes over there that's trash. But the MSD stuff, the Street Fire stuff, got to be a little careful of. The last probably 4 or 5 years, the quality I think has gone down dramatically as I think they've just tried to put more money back into the company, and I think they've cheapened up some things. And not a big fan of the Street Fire stuff. Not a big fan of the MSD stuff really, but that's a personal opinion, I guess. And I won't go too far into depth on that, but. The Taylors from overseas. Yeah, and I know that a lot of their wires were made here in the U.S., and that may have changed too. COVID killed a lot of stuff. It's killed a lot of manufacturing. Obviously, you've heard about computer chips, but everything else that's electronic has suffered quite a bit because a lot of it we were heavily reliant on that stuff coming from overseas. But I've got a friend in the shipping business has made mention that the cost of shipping a container from China has gone up by some ridiculous amount. I mean, it used to cost like two thousand, 3,000 bucks to ship a full container on a cargo ship from China to California or Seattle or wherever the port was. But it's like 1,500 bucks or 15,000 bucks now, almost 20 grand if you want to expedite it or guaranteed to get on the boat, whatever. Part of it's because they don't have shipping containers. They were all held here or at different ports around the world, and they haven't been able to get back. So you hear about all the delays in shipping. Well, the COVID and production slowdown. I'm sure that's not. I'm sure that's a big part of it, but they don't have containers is the other side. And I thought that was an interesting point that he made that I hadn't thought about when he and I were talking about it. So I just thought it was an interesting thing that I didn't know until I asked somebody that was actually in the industry. So, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me that the Taylor stuff is overseas now. And again, I'm sure they're suffering a little bit with stuff on back order right now. But duh, 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 duh. But yeah, trying to get more mechanical timing out of that. How much more Tool Junkie? How much more mechanical are you trying to get out of it than 18 degrees? Um, you know, you're. I mean, you can get a little bit more than that out of it, but you're pretty close to, um, everything you're going to get out of it. I'll have to think about that. It's a good question now that you mention it. Um, yeah, because I don't know what would be restricting that unless it's weights or springs or I've seen in the past where sometimes they will get cockeyed in there, and it fully advance the rotor. But yeah, I'd have to think about that one. That's a good question. Uh, okay. Cool. Uh, Rally Chaw. I butchered that, I'm sure, but I appreciate that comment. I do. It's very, 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 very kind. I'm never. I'm always at a loss for words when folks say stuff like that. I do appreciate that. I'm just trying to pass along, 30, almost 30 years of being in the automotive aftermarket, working for a lot of manufacturers and rep agencies and warehouse distributors. So I know this game inside and out. I know it very, very well. I know how it runs. I know how it works. I'm kind of an industry insider, I guess. It doesn't really mean much, but it does mean that I get a chance to learn a little bit more things than kind of the average user does. So that's been fun for me. It's been my career, other than, I guess I've probably made mention of that before, but I spent 7, 8 years in the army, and that was my only other job was killing people and breaking things and playing with hot rods. So I've had a good life, but I do appreciate that compliment. Thank you very very much from the bottom of my heart. I do appreciate that. Um, 14 is 3,600. Yeah, that's a good question, Tool Junkie. I'm gonna have to think about that. What are some of the things in there? Again, I can't tell. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sweating my backside off. It is, like I said, it's about 100 in this garage, I think. So it's a little toasty in here, but yeah, I may do a video on that one too, because quite honestly, um, I, I've had that question come up where I just didn't know how to answer it. Where somebody says, "Okay, well, what do you mean by initial timing, and what do you mean about all-in timing?" And I guess it's easy to discuss through, what initial timing is, and then how the distributor advances the timing as you move through the RPM range to start the ignition event a little bit earlier because it needs more time to burn to get the full effect out of the fuel and air that gets down into the cylinder. But yeah, it's a good. Those are great questions. I have to think about how to. I always go back and rewatch these live streams, not because I enjoy listening to my voice, but because I'll forget about that one if I don't write it down, and I haven't written it down. So I'll come back and I'll hear me babbling on about it. But it's those are good questions. I should probably, that one will be an easy one. I don't know that if I'll cover it specifically during the carb tuning video that I'm hope is out in September now. But yeah, I may do a troubleshooting for ignition type of stuff, because I think that's probably the best place to put it. Do a standalone ignition, a little bit of troubleshooting, a little bit of distributor setup, talk about weights and springs and yeah, how the rotor functions in there, and just go through the 360 degrees of crankshaft rotation and what everything means during it. But that's a good question. You got my mind thinking again. Oh, I am not on a. I think the last 3 live streams I've been drinking Pacifico, and I'm still on that kick. I don't know why. It's good. So, let's see here. I've been in about 45 minutes. It's kind of really about all I wanted to do tonight. It's just a quick video. I should have had the tuning chart down here. A little disappointed that I forgot those. I printed them. They're just all the way upstairs, and I don't want to leave you here for a minute or 45 seconds of dead air and everybody wondering what happened to me. It's because I passed out in this heat. But anyway, so 700R4 and your 82C10. Now that's cool, Deer Slayer. I am a big fan of overdrive transmissions. The Chevelle's getting a T56 Tremec with 2 overdrives. The 700R4, the electronic and the non-electronic version. I will probably put the non-electronic version of the 700R4 in the GMC one of these days. Just because if I'm going to drive it, which I tend to drive the things that I own, and not just around town. If I want to drive it from here just south of Memphis and drive it 3.5, 4 hours over to Nashville, I want to be able to do that and not cruise down the highway at 4,500 RPM or 3,500 or whatever that truck will do. I want to be able to cruise it and get some better fuel economy and not, run myself out of the cab of that thing. So I love the overdrive stuff. If you're doing an overdrive in anything, you got my vote. It's 2 thumbs up on that one. So enjoy the heck out of that one, buddy. I think you'll enjoy it. So anyway, I think that is. I'll have to go scroll through there. I meant to try to do a different program out for live stream tonight, but I was farting around with it earlier and it was starting to irritate me, and I just got upset with it, and it's like, you know what, forget it. Anyway, I guess, unless you guys got any other questions, I'm going to clean up some stuff here in the garage. The GMC, like I said, I had the brake issue this weekend. I'll take that over to, again, somebody else to, hook it up to a better machine and figure out what it was. I'm sure it's just got air in it, but hopefully I don't have any lines or anything that are a little loose. I did go back and double check that today, and everything seemed good. So I don't know. Something got in there, so I'm sure that's probably what it is. But it's usually the simplest problem. But yeah. Anyway, these carburetors look good. I'm gonna go right back together with them. I'm not gonna clean them. They don't need that. And then these will be ready for the next owner, whoever wants a dual carb setup on a big block Chevy Edelbrock intake. So, but yeah, I'll get these put back together and put the kit back together, and she'll be ready to roll. So at least I'll know what the tune or the base calibration's at. That's the only reason why I did this. And I just wanted to take a quick peek in here. The secondary carburetor is way worse than the primary, and I don't know if that's because of there's not the same amount of fuel that gets run through here or what, but it's got a little bit more crap in it. So anyway, neither here nor there. I know the guy took pretty good care of this setup and had really good filters on it. He used Aeromotive stuff, 100 micron and a 40 micron filter on it. So I know he took really good care of it. Ran the driven carb defender through it, which is absolutely my favorite thing. And I know he put storage defender in the tank over the winter time. He drained the carburetor. So this was probably is a typical street rod kind of guy where they overtake care of stuff. This guy was certainly that. So. Daily driver. Your 82 C10. That's cool. I'm who doesn't love the square body truck? Man, I kicked the camera again. I did. Who doesn't love the square body? I mean, I love that generation where the Dodges of that era, the Ford trucks of that era, a little meh, but the older Fords, I love them. I mean, I'm a Chevrolet guy, I think, first and foremost, but I do like all makes and models for the most part. If they do something cool or they build power and they do something that I haven't seen before, then yeah, it's good for me. So, but I dig it. Yeah. I'd love to. I would love to have a C10 or a GMC for a daily driver. I think that'd be awesome. Square body too would even be cooler. But yeah, not in the cards right now. I got. I put too many miles on every year on mine, so newer stuff is where I'm at. But anyway, I think that is all for now. Anyway, although I did, you may, if you follow me on Instagram, I went ahead and started an account over at Rumble. It's not really a YouTube knockoff. It's been around for a while, I think, but with YouTube getting a little restrictive, and hopefully they don't get mad at me for saying this, but with YouTube getting a little more restrictive on the content, Rumble has gotten to be a very, very popular. It's like in the top 5 of downloads in the App Store for Google and Android stuff, or Android and iOS stuff. But there's a lot of political garbage on there, which I try to stay as far away from as possible. But there's a lot of good car content on there too, and there's not enough of it. So if it's going to be a platform that's going to take off a little bit, I started an account over there. So if you want to go find me over there, I've only put one video up right now, but whatever, we'll see. But I've certainly watched quite a bit of them over there, and there is some good little short content on there. 2-3 minutes long, car show type stuff mainly. But I may put some content up at both spots. We'll see. Certainly, YouTube's my primary spot to upload stuff, and it's what it will be. And I put some images and some stuff during the week on Instagram. So certainly, if you're not following me over there, I try to make it entertaining anyway. So, but ooh, 396 with a 300 duration cam. Ooh, does it need a different PCV valve? To be very honest with you, I wouldn't probably run a PCV valve in that long a duration of system. I'd put a catch can on it. And reason being is everything else matches up, compression ratio, ring gap, all of those things, the pressure within the crankcase is usually far greater on those long duration setups. And I love the big duration, big block stuff. It sounds fabulous. If the LSA's cut really tight, they sound awesome going through a fairgrounds or a car show, whatever. But they do build up a lot of crankcase pressure, and a catch can will take that vapor that you're pulling out of the engine, instead of dumping it right back into the carburetor, into the intake manifold, whatever. At least it dumps it into a separate can. And I am in the process of doing that video right now. I put a catch can on the GMC to show you what a worn out 350 looks like and how much crap. And I know it's accumulating some stuff in there. It's on the truck now. I want to get a few hundred more miles on it before I shoot the video and drain it and show you what the difference is between the PCV system and the catch can stuff. But I would probably put a catch can on that one. I would kill the PCV side, put a breather in one valve cover, and put a bung and off to a catch can in the other one. Just my preference on it. I'm sure you could do just fine with a PCV, but it's the duration, loss of vacuum, and just makes it a little bit easier to dump that pressure into a catch can, keep it there, and you can put it on a closed system if you like, and run it right back, right back to the carburetor as cleaner air, and not with all the oil and crap and contaminants and all that other stuff going through it. But I'm a big fan of the catch can stuff, and I would probably do that on a long duration engine. Just again, it's my preference. I don't know how to explain it. I haven't really thought about it yet, but I am in the process of shooting that video right now. So, but good question, and I appreciate the I will definitely keep the videos coming. The summertime's always slow, and I tend to slow down a little bit during the summertime because of people aren't viewing stuff. And I know that sounds a little vain, but the way YouTube works is if I put out a video, and last week's video I think is a good example. What did I do it on? Oh, the fuel tank changeover in the GMC truck. It was absolutely disgusting, but it didn't get a lot of views, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that when YouTube sees that, they say, okay, this video was put out by this channel. It didn't get a lot of views. Let's not suggest the videos as much. So viewer time slows down in the summer months here in the northern hemisphere anyway. I get a lot of Australians and South Americans, South Africans watching the channel this time of year because it's their winter. So, but yeah, as it slows down in the summertime, I slow down. I'm shooting a lot of content, but I won't start editing it for probably at least until the middle or end of September, and then by the time October hits, it'll be back on the one a week, maybe twice a week videos for a while. Certainly that SEMA's coming too, and I am going to SEMA this year. SEMA did announce that the show is definitely going to take place unless the state or local government shuts it down. So they've already got all sorts of mandates in place. I don't think they're going to make it so you have to be vaccinated to go, but certainly I know that it's lots of folks are looking at that. I'm sure it'll be a mask event where everybody's going to have a mask on, but I don't care. I'm just looking. It'd be nice to get back. last year, obviously, because there wasn't a SEMA show, there wasn't a PRI show, which is my favorite show of the year. That one's in December of every year. I've done a couple of live streams from PRI. Absolutely love that event. SEMA gets all of the glamour and the glory, but PRI is easily the way cooler show. Not as many cars and stuff there. It's more of the hardcore race manufacturer there showing product, and there's the cars that are there are more sprint car, drag car, pro mod, drift, even stuff there in the booths, and not near as much of it. So you can really get around that venue at the Indianapolis Convention Center. I love that show. It's middle of December every year, and it's usually the last event I do of the year, and I'm always so grateful to go, and I know that show is on too. So anyway, long story short, but anyway, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. I think we're probably getting, yeah, we're pretty close to an hour. I thought this was only going to be about a half-hour deal, but I do appreciate the questions, and certainly, thank you again, Tool Junkie, if you're still around, still watching. My next one absolutely is on you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much for that. I certainly do appreciate that. It's again, always surprises me when folks do that, but I'm never. I'm always extremely thankful. The folks that are on my Patreon that support me over there. I primarily use that money to buy the things that I do for a lot of the content of the videos. I can tell you that the filter video was 100% bought off of Patreon money, and I don't make a lot over there, and I spent quite a bit to do that filter video, but you can't recover it all, but certainly it was a good project to put that money towards, and I definitely appreciate it. So I'm a small channel. I'm 6,500 6,700 subscribers, something like that. So it's everything that I do is out of my own pocket, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that obviously it's very expensive. So you all know, your car folks, how much all this crap costs. It's not cheap. So I have to work hard to make sure that I can still afford to play and still put out videos that I'm proud of, for one, but two, give somebody hopefully some information and deliver it in maybe a little bit different way. So anyway, all righty, man. Hey, good night, CNC Auto Works. I appreciate you for stopping by. Had no idea. Only knew about SEMA. Yeah, the if you look in my videos, you'll see a couple live streams from PRI. It's the Indianapolis show. Absolutely, absolutely love it. Again, SEMA is always going to get the media attention, but PRI, if you're a racer or a performance car enthusiast, drag racer, drifter, dirt track, oval, 3/8 mile, whatever it is you're into, man, it's all there. There's tons of manufacturers that don't show at SEMA. They only show at PRI because that's their target audience. And there's the celebrities that show up at PRI are not the, Daisy Duke, or, well, that's a bad example, but I would still probably stay in line to see Daisy Duke. But not those type of celebrities. It's more of the, the racers. So, the forces always come out. Clay Milliken, he's from around here locally. I run into Clay every now and then, but those type of racers are always around. And then the educational side of stuff is always much better. It's always more hardcore engine related stuff, or transmission or suspension, drivetrain setup. It's awesome. Love that show. So certainly, if when you get to December and you want some trade show type stuff to watch, start searching the channels for PRI. I don't know if I'm going to do PRI this year. I'm going to try to go, but SEMA, I'm definitely going to be there, and I will shoot some live stream stuff from SEMA. And I always get in a few hours before the show opens so I can wander around there without getting bumped into. So I absolutely will be doing some live streams from there. But Indianapolis is 8 hours up the road for me, so I don't know. I may go up there one day and maybe do a Friday or a Saturday at PRI. So cool. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna stop babbling. I'm gonna go find the right jets and rods for these things, turn them back, put them back together, and again, they'll be ready to go to a new owner. So anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. I really, really do. Thank you so much for the support of the channel. You know, your comments, you know, sticking around, listening to me babble for an hour. I do appreciate y'all. So cheers, and catch you guys later. I don't know what the next video is going to be. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Yeah, so many things I'm still editing and working on. So anyway, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you again for stopping by. I'm gonna go check out Robert's garage live stream if it's going on right now too. Y'all meet me over there. See ya.